Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, The Poetry of Nice. This is a channel all about thrifting and reselling online for profit. So today is a weird video for me to be sharing, if I'm being completely honest. I had gone back and forth about whether or not to speak about this specifically. I have talked about it randomly in my videos, like mentioned it from time to time, but I've never gone into depth about this. And I kind of feel like as the year draws to a close and a new year starts, I want to be more open about it, and I want to let you guys know exactly how reselling has changed our family dynamic and our future. I'm pretty outspoken on this channel about the fact that I'm not bringing home thousands and thousands of dollars every single month from reselling online, because I do this part-time and my husband's income is our primary income. For those of you that don't know, I am a work-at-home mother. I run my business in the mornings, and then I also homeschool and take care of our kids. We have 3 boys who are 6, 4 and 2. So our lives are pretty busy. They're pretty full, especially with homeschooling, and I don't have time to work at 9 to 5 outside of the house, or even quite frankly inside of the house most of the time. So as I said, reselling is a part-time sort of side hustle for our family. It's something that I discovered about 4 or 5 years ago, and I've slowly grown my business, and then on top of that I started sharing my journey on YouTube, hoping to meet people in the community, make friends, and hopefully inspire or just help some people out there who may have questions that need to be answered. So what I'm going to touch on today is a very, very big part of why I started reselling to begin with. I've always loved to thrift. I've always loved to find treasure in the weirdest of places, but I hadn't much turned around and sold those things for profit. They've always been things that I sort of had kept for myself, whether it be cool vintage clothing or some kind of like Disneyana collectible, whatever it is. I've enjoyed doing the treasure hunting, but I hadn't really taken it to the next step of trying to make money doing it. My husband is actually the one who encouraged me to do that, and we started out doing this back in, I want to say, like 2014, 2015 or so, and we started out with $200. That's what we allotted ourselves, and we said, let's see what we can find to sell. We actually started out not selling online. We started selling locally. So I would pick up like a bunch of kids' clothes or adult clothes all in the same size, or maybe like a pack and play or a stroller that I had kind of heard of was a good brand. I wasn't looking up comparable listings or anything like that to get an idea of what I could sell it for. I was just picking up what I thought would sell with that first like little bit of earnest money, if you like, getting this business started, and then I would put it up on Facebook. I think this was before there was even Facebook Marketplace. It was just on Facebook, and I would sell it locally. I would drive out, I would meet the person, we'd do cash in hand exchange, and then I would take that profit, roll it over, and buy more stuff, as you do. So while we started small and built it up, just kind of reinvesting the capital and things like that, we were doing it for a very specific reason. In 2015, our first son was born, and we decided that it was time to do something about our financial situation. By that point, by the time my oldest was born, we had over $50,000 in consumer debt. That includes things like credit cards, appliances, furniture, student loans, and 3 separate vehicles that we had financed almost totally. My husband has always been the primary breadwinner. I've had my own jobs and things like that, but he's always made the most because he's on a career track, and I was sort of getting odd jobs here and then because I moved over from England and I didn't have a career necessarily set up when I got here. And then just a year or so after arriving here, I started having our children. We decided I should stay home to take care of them, and so it became a thing of I wasn't going out to work, but I still wanted to bring in money, and we knew that we had to do something to try and change the track that we were on financially. So we continued to work on growing this business, and I will say some resources that I found incredibly useful in doing so were YouTube. I mean, YouTube's probably the primary one, where I went on and I would watch different people showing what they were buying and hopefully showing what they were selling and how much money. I learned from there which platforms were available. I do eBay, Poshmark, and Etsy. That all came from watching other people on YouTube, and I started to learn things about brands or about different categories that you could sell in, different ways that you could utilize keywords, different ways that you could optimize yourself for SEO, how to take photographs, what software to use, what I needed to buy in terms of reselling. Did I need a mannequin? Did I need a flat lay? How would I do all of these things in order to be recognized and be able to sell in a marketplace that was pretty saturated already, and quite frankly seems to get more saturated each year, but is not impenetrable. A lot of those resellers that I was watching early on are the reason why I decided to start creating content like this as well. Here on my channel you will find all kinds of tips and tricks, and I try to do a lot of beginner style tutorial because I really wanted to create a platform, create a place where people who were starting out on the journey that I had started out on just a couple of years before could get access quickly and concisely to that kind of information so that they could potentially kickstart their journey too. I know that there's more than just paying down debt. Some people don't have debt, some people aren't bothered by it, but I think that's always been in the back of my mind that this has been such a turning point for our family, introducing a second income, sort of despite, if you like, being in those very, very young stages of parenthood and having young kids and not being able to leave the house very much, that I always wanted to be able to put something out there into the world that somebody could hopefully stumble upon and could change their trajectory as well. I hope that makes sense. So we started with the $200. We started out with estate sales and yard sales and things like that, and we slowly moved into thrift stores, and then I found the mighty rummage sale. Here I talk often about how much I like a good church rummage sale, and I could not recommend them more. I know that they are plentiful in my area and some people just don't have them, but definitely keep your eyes peeled. I use Facebook, I use Yard Sale Treasure Map, all kinds of different ways to discover them and map them out and go to them in certain orders and stuff so that I can prioritize the best ones. And for me, they are a fantastic way to utilize my time. I can go to one rummage sale, I can get so many items at a low cost of goods because of the nature of a rummage sale, at least around my parts, and that way I'm not spending multiple hours sourcing every single week. I literally went out on a Saturday morning, our whole family would load up, we would go out to a rummage sale or some yard sales. If there weren't any rummage sales, we would buy as much as we possibly could with a view to flipping it for profit, and then I would work on listing those items throughout the week. I do not go to thrift stores or things like that every single day. My sourcing is very regimented now because I don't want to spend too much time sourcing. I want to spend my time listing. So it's just making sure I have enough items so that I can be really firm with myself and make sure I'm working on getting those listings live every single day of the week at this point. Another resource right now is Instagram. That wasn't really as alive back when I started, but now that's definitely a way that you can go through and you can see the brands that other people are picking up. Some people share sales information, some people share collages of all their different brands, but you start to get an eye for those things. The more that you sort of ingest all of this different information, whether it be through YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or wherever it is, and you start to become accustomed with brands, and not just brands, but what sells in terms of style, how to look for quality on items, how to read the marketplace, how to research comps effectively, all of these different things. When you really start to watch a lot of content and devour a lot of content, I suppose you could say, you start to learn really, really quickly. For me personally, back then, I was watching YouTube videos about reselling all day. They were in the background while I was nursing or playing with my son, or he was napping. I was watching them in the evening when I was going to bed, or in my downtime when I was cooking. I have it on in the background. I still watch a lot of content because things change. Things are always moving. You have to sort of stay ahead, or at least familiar with the marketplace and what it's doing. So momentum began to build with the business. I started getting a lot of, getting my feedback going. I started learning more. I started streamlining my process. So I was listing faster and I was knowing what to pick up faster, starting to pick up less duds, which do happen because trial and error are such a huge part of this. But once you get through that, you start to pick up more items that you know will sell and leaving those duds behind. Just be aware that that's a journey you kind of have to go on. So keep that cost of goods nice and low so you can learn in a less painful way, I suppose you could say. The main thing for us has been consistency. Being consistent with my listing and things have allowed my business to grow quickly. And in those 5 years since we started, we have paid off all $50,000 plus more than $50,000 of consumer debt. We now only have our mortgage as a family, and we have been able to plush out our emergency fund. We've been able to take some vacations. I will say 5 years was because we took the long way round. our financial situations were behavioral a lot of the time. You can probably tell that by what I'm sharing as our consumer debt. Things like vehicles and credit cards and furniture and appliances. Those are things that we now know as a couple in our 30s, as opposed to a brand new couple in our early 20s, that you don't need to finance. You can save up, you can hustle, you can work harder, and you can make those purchases in a more intentional, thoughtful way. But back then, we didn't really know it, or if we did know it, we didn't really care. So when we began to have our young family, we did start to care, and we wanted to change that for ourselves. So introducing this second income is what allowed us to start really handling money, and we also were able to see a lot of momentum built in paying off debt quickly as well. It was not a quick journey. Those 4 or 5 years that it took to pay it off moved real slow sometimes, let me tell you. And we did take the odd vacation, and we did cash flow some things that perhaps weren't essentials, but at least we didn't accrue more debt. So slowly those behaviors, those financial behaviors started to change. We introduced the second income. We started to see some progress. The snowball started rolling. I'll let you know as well, if you're wondering about debt resources, we were Dave Ramsey people. Like I said, we took the long way round, so we were not diehard Dave Ramsey, but his information, his book, The Total Money Makeover, those were some of the very, very first starting points, the jumping off points when we realized what we needed to do to get the wheels in motion to become debt free. And so through reselling used clothes online, clothes, shoes, sometimes toys, sometimes random things that I never thought about reselling ever, through picking them up cheap at rummage sales and yard sales and thrift stores and things like that, and turning around and flipping them online for a profit, we paid off that over $50,000 in debt in 4 to 5 years. And like I said, we're now debt free. We're going to be working on the house soon, and it's a wonderful place to be. And we've managed to do it all while starting this family, and you know, raising it and homeschooling, doing that kind of stuff. So it fits into the lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's always the thing about you can go out and deliver pizzas and stuff, and that wasn't going to be an option for us necessarily, because the way that we were as a family and how quickly we were having our children and things like that, we didn't want to be outside of the house taking turns working jobs. So reselling became the perfect answer to that situation. If you're wondering about real numbers, which I'm sure you are, and that is completely understandable, I'm going to pop a video right here which is going to give you the breakdown of my gross profit and net profit of 2019. I like to share real numbers here on this channel because I want everybody going into it to have their eyes wide open and to realize how much you have to pay to sell online in terms of fees, and of course how much you can walk away from when all of those fees and taxes and things are done. Okay guys, so this is the part of the video where I invite you to put down in the comments what reselling means to you. To us, it meant financial freedom from debt. What is reselling for you? Is it a hobby? Is it something like what I described, where it has changed your financial situation? Is it a way for you to have met people in your community? Like, what is it that makes you want to continue to resell online? And what is your top tip, if you have time to share it, for beginners out there who are looking to find a way to change their life, basically, and to do it from home part-time. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do think about giving it a thumbs up, and please do think about hitting that subscribe button down below if you want to learn more about reselling online for profit, and I will catch you in the next video. Thank you guys. Bye.